Well, one of the biggest surprises of this NFL season has been the Minnesota Vikings. And no, not because of rookie J.J. McCarthy, but because of Sam Darnold. The former first-round pick has been a revelation for the Vikings, leading them to a 4-0 record, throwing for 932 yards and a league-best 11 touchdowns. And just like they drew it up, right? Here you see they sit atop a competitive NFC North ahead of the Lions, Packers, who now have their star QB back in Jordan Love, and the Bears, who are finding their footing with first overall pick, Caleb Williams. Time now to welcome in two-time Super Bowl champ Bryant McFadden and CBS Sports NFL writer John Breech. And let's talk rankings, shall we? Division style. Fellas, we've hit the quarter mark because time flies when you're having fun. So shall we assess the league? Which division has been the cream of the crop after 4 weeks of play, B-Mac?
It's easy for me. It's the black and blue division, as they used to call it back in the day. The NFC North, they're the best division in 4 weeks of play, and here's why. They have the only team that is currently undefeated in the NFC in the division, in the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold in 4 weeks of play is looking like the MVP of the league, a very feisty defensive team led by Bryant. And this is a team that has been sound on every level on their ball club. Secondly, when you look at the Detroit Lions, who is number 2 in their division, they're still one of the best teams in the NFC. Many feel like they can represent the NFC in the playoff, in the Super Bowl, in New Orleans. And then we look at the third and fourth teams, Green Bay and Chicago. I mean, Jordan Love, man, he's just back into the saddle. They took a big loss last week to Minnesota, even though they fought from behind to get back into that ball game. We know how prolific he can be as a passer. And arguably, Chicago Bears, they might have the best defense in the entire division. So when you factor in from top to bottom, they're not a top-heavy division. They have quality sound production throughout that entire division. For me, John, they're the best division through 4 weeks of play.
Yeah, B-Mac, I absolutely agree with you on this one. I think when you look at the NFC North going into the season, everyone expected the Detroit Lions to be good, and they are good. They're 4 points away from being undefeated. The only blemish on their record is that 2016 loss to Tampa Bay. Everyone expected the Packers to be good. Well, they lost their starting quarterback for 2 weeks, and they're still 2-2, so they have plenty of time to kind of rebound. They're still absolutely a Super Bowl contender. And then you look at the surprise team, the one you mentioned, the Minnesota Vikings, and it's not like they're frauds. You look at what Minnesota has done so far. They've beaten 3 of their 4 wins have come against teams that won a playoff game last year. The 49ers, the Packers. So they're beating good teams. They trounced the Houston Texans 34-7. So it really feels like this is a team that is going to last and not fade over the next few weeks, and it's going to be a team we're talking about all season. And then you look at the Bears. Look, you mentioned their defense. It is really good. It's been kind of carrying them through the first few weeks. Caleb Williams is only going to get better. So I do think it feels like the NFC North is absolutely the best division in football right now.
Yeah, you're talking about those Vikings are a surprise team. We're giving a lot of credit to Sam Darnold, but also got to credit Brian Flores and what he's done with that defense. But we got to talk about the contrary, fellas. Which division has let you down so far? Breech, take it away.
Yeah, I think this one's also easy. Everything in between's a little tougher, but I'm going to go with the AFC South. Look, I think one team in that division, Jacksonville, has been the biggest disappointment in football this year. If you invest $275 million in your quarterback, you do not expect him to start 0-4. Trevor Lawrence has now lost 9 straight games dating back to last season. The wheels are falling off the wagon in Jacksonville. Doug Peterson's talking about changes. No one knows what to do or how to fix that right now. So definitely a problem. And then when you look at the top half of the division, let's talk about the Houston Texans. Yes, they're 3-1, but 2 of those wins came against other teams in the AFC South. So maybe we don't know exactly how good they are. And let me throw out this fun fact for you guys. All 4 teams in the AFC South have combined to win 1 game against a team that is currently over 500. So the division hasn't been beating good teams. So I can't call them good. They're my last place division.
You know what, Kiana, me and John, we didn't collab to kind of go over our picks together. We just see the same things for the same reasons. And because of that, I'm taking the AFC South as well as the worst division in 4 weeks of play. I echo everything John just laid out for us. This has been a very, very bad division. If it wasn't for the Houston Texans, I mean, this would really be a bad division. They only have 1 team in their division that has an above 500 record, right? you have one team that has yet to win a ball game. They have squandered away winning opportunities in the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I don't see a lot changing in this division anytime soon, John. I mean, Tennessee with Will Levis, he pretty much kind of got benched this past Monday night. They didn't look back. They gave the keys to Mason Rudolph, and they found a way to get their first win on the season. So there's a lot spiraling in this division. When you look at Houston, they're finding ways to win ball games, but outside of that, there's a lot of uncertainties going on in the AFC South.
I feel like if we had this conversation probably like the last 3-4 years, our answer would probably be the same. It's been a little bit of a struggle when we're looking at that AFC South. Not much changing, at least this year. But all right, fellas, maybe we can diversify our answers here. I want to see what division maybe has the highest upside as we're looking ahead. B-Mac, what you think?
The highest upside is my former division, the AFC North. And the reason why I go with the AFC North potentially having the highest upside is because, of course, right now, number one, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have the ranks of that division right now being 3-1. But Baltimore, we know how talented that team is, led by Lamar Jackson. They're starting to turn the corner, and King Henry is starting to look like the king of the Russian element in the National Football League. So just imagine how scary this team will be when King Henry keeps leaning on opposing defenders like he's been able to do, not to mention the defense is starting to be a significant piece to what they're doing, especially what they did against the Buffalo Bills this past Sunday night. But for me, the final key factor for this division in regards with them having the highest upside, John, is your team, the Cincinnati Bengals. They have been known to get up to a slow start. They've been very, very consistent in doing so. But when they finally hit that light switch, good luck, because there's no turning that switch off when they get things rolling. If their defense can just play more sound, consistent football, for number one, get healthier, we know what this offense can do when they have all of their key contributors in the lineup. This could be a team that can turn the corner, get into the playoffs, and we know they have the ability to make a deep run, especially with their quarterback in Joe Burrow.
B-Mac, I love that answer. I almost gave that answer. I'm glad I didn't, because then people would have started to think that we were sharing a brain. No, I actually have a different answer. I'm going to go with the NFC West. And my reason there, look, the Seahawks have gotten off to a great start at 3-1. I think they could be good all season long. But this is all about injuries. You look at two of the most injured teams in the NFL in 2024 have been in that division, the San Francisco 49ers, the Los Angeles Rams. The 49ers 2-2. I think they are going to be much better. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey, that's been a huge story with him missing every game this season. No one knows when he's going to be back on the field. Deebo Samuel's missed a game, so they've just been really banged up. They didn't have Brandon Ayuk during training camp, so he's kind of still getting warmed up, getting on the same page as the rest of the offense. So I think this team is only going to get better down the stretch. And then you look at the Rams. They're dealing with a ton of injuries. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, the entire offensive line. It just seems like everyone on that roster is banged up. I think they're eventually going to get healthy. And when that happens, I think the Rams could be a team to watch that could make a run down the stretch. Maybe a rough October and then recover in November, December. I don't know about the Cardinals, but I think the 49ers and the Rams can spring this division forward.
If anyone knows about injuries in the NFC West, I believe it would be me. I'm actually shocked. I thought somebody might have potentially said the AFC West. And I only say that because I'm looking at the Chargers sitting at 2-2. I think the Broncos surprising a lot of us. Also got the Raiders sitting at 2-2, but we'll see how things shake out in another quarter that we have these same discussions. But all right, fellas, Breech, you literally just said doing the best and doing the worst was probably the easiest or the hardest. Everything in the middle, that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. So how about we just throw them all together? Why don't we? I want to rank all 8 divisions. I want to go best to worst. Breech, you said this was tough, so I want you to do us the honors.
All right, I'll go first. I'll go NFC North at the top. We already talked about that. That feels like that's pretty unanimous. I've got the AFC North in second for all the reasons that B-Mac just mentioned about why that division has the highest upside. It feels like they have 2 absolute Super Bowl contenders, Bengals, Ravens, and then obviously the Steelers could be a playoff contender down the stretch. I don't know about the Browns. Then you have the NFC South at number 3. Every team in that division is strong. Keon, the division you just mentioned, the AFC West, I feel like that is the hardest one to rank ranked because they don't have any teams under 500. As you mentioned, I've got them at 4. And you know what? They actually have a winning record against both the AFC North and NFC South through 4 weeks. So you could very easily put them above either of those. I've got the NFC East at 5. Look, the Cowboys are a mess right now. We talked about the holes in their defense, the injuries. The Eagles are a mess. The Giants are a mess. It's the Washington Commanders at the top. At 6, I've got the NFC West. Again, dealing with a lot of injuries. We don't know how that's going to look a month from now, but until they get over that, I can't put them up higher. At 7, the AFC East. This is a division I would have thought would have been 2nd or 3rd if you would have asked me before the season, but the Dolphins don't seem like they're going in there without Tua. The Patriots don't look good, and the Jets maybe a little overrated so far. So yeah, got the AFC East at 7, and then as we talked about, the worst division in football is the AFC South, and I have them in my 8th spot.
Okay, I just want to know, coming into this year, I don't think any of us would have guessed at the quarter mark of the season, we would be talking about the Commanders sitting at 1st in the NFC East. But also, I wanted to go right back to that chat really quick. You said about the AFC West, and you brought up that no team is sitting below 500. But also, I know it does not matter, but when you really look at this, it's very well that the Chiefs could be sitting at 2-2 as well, considering how their first 2 games of that season went. I'm just throwing that out there. But B-Mac, give me your rankings.
Oh, we got a little difference of opinion when it comes to the top 3. Number 1, of course, is the same for me. NFC North, we gave our reasons why. But here's where I go one way and John goes the other. The NFC East. Now, this is through 4 weeks, okay? Now, hear me out. You talk about the Commanders. To your point, Kiana, no one thought the Commanders in 4 weeks of play would be the number 1 team in the division. And then when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, they've been dealing with a lot of injuries. They could easily be 3-1 if it wasn't for that late debacle against the Atlanta Falcons. And then when you talk about their most impressive win was going on the road and taking care of their business against the New Orleans Saints. And then, of course, with the Dallas Cowboys, they're dealing with some injuries. But this is a team when the talent that they have in place, especially on the offensive end, if they can kind of connect the dots, I love what they can do being competitive and winning ball games. And then for me, 3rd, I got the NFC South. When you look at their teams, of course, led by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Atlanta, they've been winning ball games, but they've been doing so basically on their defense and their special teams. Then, of course, 4th, the AFC West. It starts with Kansas City, and then it's all about the Chargers. And then we look at the Denver Broncos, one of the bigger surprises with Bo Nix, being 2-2 at this current point in the season. AFC North, I have them 5th. When you look at what we've seen in 4 weeks of play, Cincinnati, they haven't looked good. Cleveland, they haven't looked good. So right now, it's only a 2-team division in the AFC North, led by the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. But I do foresee that changing. But in 4 weeks of play, I had them 5th. 6th, the NFC West. All the injuries sustained within those teams with San Francisco with the Rams, and then followed by the AFC East. I'm right there with you, John. The disappointment with the AFC East in totality. Of course, with Miami not having Tua, they're not the same team. And I think we all would agree the AFC South is the last division if you had to rank top to bottom.
That's very fair. I think these are very fair lists, but B-Mac, I just can't get with the NFC West being ranked below the NFC South. And the only reason I say that is because I have my questions. Yes, the Bucs have proven themselves. The Falcons got a win here and there, but I don't know if I'm sold just yet on how that whole division is going to take shape. But I will say, fellas, mark your calendar, because at the halfway point of the season, I want to have the same conversation with the 2 of you and see how these rankings move. John, B-Mac, as always, this was fun. And you can catch the NFL on CBS this Sunday. And hey, speaking of divisions, we got an AFC North showdown between the Ravens and Bengals in the 1 p.m. window. Josh Allen and the Bills will pay a visit to Houston and take on C.J. Stroud and the Texans. You can also stream your local game on Paramount Plus and also see if those guys' divisions, their rankings still hold up.